Welcome and good afternoon to the Cardinal HCM Benefits Administrator Forum. My name is Samantha Olvera, and I am one of the HR trainers, and I will be your facilitator today. I will be under the host role. I also have with me multiple people in this room for today's session that will be assisting with the session and answering any questions. I want to thank you guys for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. For awareness, we are recording today's session. This forum is scheduled from 2 until 4 p.m. All attendees have been muted to avoid background noise, but we do encourage you to actively participate in the session using the question feature. You may ask questions at any time during the presentation by using the Q&A panel. Please do not send questions through the chat as it is not being monitored and may not be seen. To access the Q&A panel, please look at the bottom of your screen. You should see a meeting control bar. If you do not see the control bar, you may need to move your mouse to activate it. Select the optional icon, which is one of the 3 dots, and then you'll select the Q&A option. This should open up a panel on the right-hand side of your screen. With your questions, please send them to the panelists and include your agency name as it provides necessary context for our panelists. We'll hold all the questions until our designated Q&A section, but please send them as you think of them. Our little disclaimer, we will do our best we will do our best to answer as many questions as possible during this session. Please understand that some questions may need to be directed back to your agency support contacts, as our Cardinal team cannot provide agency-specific guidance or your agency policies. Additionally, for questions that require correction mode or our assistance of our Cardinal post-production team, we will need to direct you to enter a VCCC ticket. When entering that ticket, please remember to put Cardinal and the module in the subject line so that it can be directed to the appropriate team. I will now hand this session over to Mel Cummings, who is going to facilitate the rest of the training or this session. Mel is one of our benefits administrator trainers, and she'll be walking you through a few topics and key reminders and demonstrations before we go into our Q&A session later in the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Again, my name is Mel Cummings. I'd like to welcome you all aboard Cardinals to our Benefit Administrators Forum. I will be your captain for today, Mel Cummings, and along with me, I have 2 wonderful flight attendants. I have with me Jill Harmon and Sarah Harrell, as it's been forestated, and a few other passengers on board this afternoon. So we're glad to have you aboard. And without further ado, we don't want to detain you. We do want this flight to begin on time. We have been cleared for takeoff. So I'm going to ask those in the back in the cabin to prepare for takeoff. And let's get started on our journey today. On our journey today, we have a few stops. First of all, we're going to be looking at reviewing employee benefits, the life event tool, creating a manual event, and then a demo of the marriage life event. After which, we're going to allot some time for your questions and any answers that we can provide to you, training materials, any additional support, and then we're going to land this flight safely with the meeting wrap up. The skies are sunny today, so it looks like we're going to have a safe journey. And I just ask that you make sure that your tray tables are in the upright position and you are prepared for takeoff. All right, so let's begin right with reviewing employee benefits. Reviewing employee benefits. I want to take a moment and look at the health benefits page. Hopefully that you'll be able to see this clearly. When we consider the health benefits page, this is where employees submit health benefits directly through the ESS portal. Now, in addition to that, a benefit administrator can submit these elections through the on-demand event maintenance page. The information populates in the employees' base benefits after the elections have been finalized. Now, we have some navigational tools here available for you. How do you get to the health benefit page? Okay. The navigation for that is to go to the navigator, benefits, enroll in benefits, and health benefits. Now let me model that for you. Bear with me just a second. I'm going to switch over to my PeopleSoft screen. Give me a moment to get logged in. Okay. Just a minute here. And this is for those of you all who may not know how to log in at this juncture. If you've flown with me before, I'd like to say welcome back. And if you've not flown with me before, welcome aboard. Now, again, in talking about how to arrive at the navigation tool, you do want to click on the compass in the upper right-hand corner where you see my illuminator. I'm going to click on the compass. And then we're going to go to the navigator tool or icons. And then we're going to go to benefits, enroll in benefits. And then we want to land safely on health benefits. Now, this is the navigational path to get to the health benefits page. All right, now I'm going to go back to our PowerPoint so that you can see that page. And that is the navigation for most of the menus that we're going to be discussing today. I want to bring your attention to the plan type. And you're going to find some consistencies among all of the pages that we're going to be reviewing today. You're going to notice the plan type, and also there's going to be a view all area that's illuminated in blue, which means it's a hyperlink. That's going to be important for you to open if you have more than one page of information. Okay? Of course, if you have one page, you don't need to click the view all button, but if more or multiple pages, you will want to click that view all button. Next, you're going to see the coverage area. The coverage begin date is the date when coverage was or does begin. After which you also see the plan type. In this instance, it's a plan type 10 medical. You will see the deduction begin date. The deduction begin date is when the date when deduction will begin if it's being paid through Cardinal. You will see the election date. And this is the date enrollment was entered. In addition to that, you see the coverage elections. You have three options under the coverage elections, whether it was elected, whether the coverage was waived, or the coverage was terminated. You also see the benefit program. In this instance, you see that the benefit plan is an ACC4 or COVA plan. The coverage code is a 4, which of course identifies as a family plan. And then also you see the benefit plan listed. All right, and again, the navigation is through the navigator, benefits, enroll in benefits, and health benefits. Some additional information regarding health benefit plans. These are the categories or the fields that we just discussed. You will have a copy of this in your PowerPoint deck after this session is completed. So you will see these screenshots, and after each screenshot, you will see a page with the field descriptions listed for your perusal. Let's move on to simple benefits, premium rewards, and flexible spending admin fee. Now, the navigation here is very similar to what we just did. You go to the navigator, benefits, enroll in benefits, and simple benefits. And I'm going to go there one more time, but I want to show you all of those headings in one opportunity here. I'm going to go back to the navigator again. And you'll notice that we clicked on health benefits earlier. Your simple benefits, your savings plan, your spending accounts, your retirement plans are all listed here under this heading. Okay, they're all there for you. So as we proceed through this forum on today, to keep it a little easy on the eyes, I won't continue to flip back and forth. Just know that all of these headings are listed under Enroll in Benefits. If you'll bear with me, I'll go back to the presentation. All right, when looking at the simple benefits page or premium rewards, I'm sure that we all know that premium rewards are an additional benefit to the employee. There are certain criteria that they have to follow, okay, to receive those premium rewards as an incentive. And it's a wonderful, wonderful option for the employees to have. The premium rewards are reductions in health plan premiums for the participants in the COVA Care and the COVA Health Awareness Plans who complete certain specific healthy actions within defined timeframes. This is another area where the existing policy is not changing. Premium reward amounts and requirements are staying the same. Premium rewards come directly from the vendor into Cardinal via an interface upload file. And if the employee satisfies all the requirements to become eligible to earn these premium rewards, the premium reward information in Cardinal is for state agencies only, by the way. Their information will be included in the upload file, and they will be added to the simple benefits plan. Again, this policy is remaining the same. There will be additional pay provided to offset the cost of the medical premium. If there is an adjustment that needs to be made, the employee's additional pay, HR administrators can manually update the information. If the premium award needs updating, the Family Status Change, or FSC, FAST action, can be used in Cardinal to open enrollment options and update the information. We do not really expect many manual changes to be made. The interface upload file is working to populate that information into Cardinal as well. Now, a few more nuggets about premium rewards. OHB will have minimal involvement with premium rewards. In fact, the only time they're going to be involved would be when the upload encountered some type of error. OHB has access to log file that tracks any errors in the upload and bring attention to any people who did not get updates during the upload process. State agencies will have access to the simple benefits page. However, they will not be making any updates related to premium rewards, as agency BAs are responsible for making these updates once OHB provides them with guidance on how to do so. And then finally, there is a premium rewards audit report, which lists employees whose health premium reward enrollment or additional pay amounts require updating to align with their current health benefits enrollment. This report includes employee health benefit enrollment, health premium reward benefit enrollment, and additional pay data. We do recommend that this report is run semi-monthly. You'll notice on this screen, you will see the plan type. Naturally, again, if you would, and on all screens, make sure that you click your View All button if you have multiple pages. You see the coverage begin date, the deduction date or deduction begin date, the election date, and also your coverage elections, whether they have elected coverage, waived, and or terminated. You see your benefit program as well as your benefit plan. Okay? And this information does mull over to the next slide you see here at the bottom, as well as on the next slide. I'll give you a moment to look at this information. You'll notice on this screen that the coverage election is showing salaried employee benefit program, premium reward participant only. And then on the prior row, you see the coverage election is salaried employee benefit program, flexible spending admin fee. The next page will transition over to the savings plan page. When looking at the savings plan page, you want to again notice the plan type. In this instance, it is a plan type 46403B. And you're going to find that there are consistencies among each one of these pages. Most of the information is housed in the same locations on each one of these pages. You'll notice that the coverage is listed here in the coverage begin date. You already know that that's the date that the coverage begins. The deduction begin date. Your coverage election options. Your benefit program and benefit plan. You also will note that you have the option code listed here. In addition, you have your before tax and your after tax investment areas of this page, which is a flat amount. Before and after tax percentage or amount represents the eligible employee's contribution amount and can be manually added if needed. Again, your before tax and your after tax flat amount investments. And then you also have your payroll status. Okay? And in this case, the payroll status is active. Let's move on to our next stop, which is the spending accounts page. And as stated, you will have a sheet that's listed with the categories of each one of these plans. I do want to move on to the spending accounts page. And again, your navigation is through benefits, enroll in benefits, and spending accounts. And this screen, like all of the others, is very similar. You see your plan type, your coverage information, your coverage begin date, your deduction begin date, and your election dates. You see your coverage elections, elect, waived, or terminated, the benefit program, and the benefit plan. The one takeaway from this screen, which is a little bit different from the others, is the contribution levels. You're able to see your annual pledge amount here, as well as your employee contribution override and your year-to-date contributions. Keeping in mind your annual pledge. Your annual pledge is the total annual amount the employee wishes to contribute to the FSA plan, July through June. You will please note here your employee contribution override. This is for Cardinal payroll use only. This field is only used in limited circumstances where the Cardinal payroll participant has a non-standard payroll frequency. This field is set by the Cardinal post-production support team. And then you see your year-to-date contribution. This will show the total amount taken year-to-date from July to June from the Cardinal employee's paycheck. And again, you have the page that supports each one of those fields for your perusal. Let's transition to the retirement plan page. And again, the navigation, benefits, enroll in benefits, and retirement plans, which is also still housed in that same area. Under the retirement plans, you have the plan type, and this is another area where I would suggest, if you have multiple pages, make sure that you click that view all page. And that allows you to see everything in one page by scrolling up or down instead of having to go page by page. You see the plan type. In this case, it's a plan type 70. The coverage and the coverage deduction begin date, which is the date the deduction will begin. You see something a little different here. It's called participant election, but again, it's your election, your waive, and your terminate buttons. You see your benefit program, your plan, the election date, the payroll status, and the option code, all housed under each coverage election. And what you're seeing here is the employee retirement, and then you see the coverage for the group term life, the retiree health credit, the VSDP long-term disability in this particular screenshot. And again, a listing of each one of those categories. Now we're going to transition a little bit to the current benefits summary page. The benefit summary page can be accessed from both the benefit detail and the benefit administrator tiles. And the navigation is going through the benefit administrator tile, review employee benefits, and the current benefits summary. Now I'm going to show you the navigation of how to get to the benefit enrollment summary, and then we will revert back to the screenshot. Again, this time we're going to go through the benefit administrator tile. And we're going to go to review employee benefits. And we're going to look at, well, actually, let me back up for a minute. We're going to go through employee benefits and the current benefits summary. Bear with me just a second. All right, so we are going to go to, again, employee benefits and the current benefits summary. And then once you enter your employee ID number, and click search, it will populate the benefit enrollment summary for you. And naturally, you see the employee's name, you would see the employee's ID number. And you have several categories here. You have the plan type, the coverage election, the benefit plan, a description of that plan, the coverage or participation and the coverage begin date. And then in addition to that, you have the benefit deduction summary. And this shows you the payroll system, the pay group, and whether or not the employee is active in payroll. All right, moving right along, we're going to go next to the life event tool. And many of you in class were excited about this life event tool. We were excited about it as well. The life event tool is designed to assist benefit administrators with determining the date that should be entered on the BAS activity table when creating a new life event. It includes common definitions tab that walks you through the tools, the definitions, the life class definitions, and the administrative class definitions, dates, and rules. Now, in this particular screenshot, you'll notice, for instance, if there were a birth life event and the birth of that child was on February the 14th, and if you, the BA, received that form on March the 15th, automatically the BAS activity event date would populate for you as a February 14th, 2022 event date. The coverage begin date would be February the 14th. Now, some of you may be asking, why is the coverage date the same as the date of the life event? In the Cardinal system, you will not be able to enter for a birth event the child's date prior to when the child is actually born. So you will find that the date of the life event and the coverage begin date will be the same. And then there are some other events here, as you see, a divorce event. One thing that I do want to draw your attention to is the marriage event example. You'll notice on this particular slide that the date of the life event is November the 14th, but the BA did not receive the form until March 15th. Naturally, that's outside of the agency perimeter timeframes. So anytime that occurs, you're going to see an OHB approval needed message populate, which means this is outside the timeframe or the perimeters for that particular life event. You will need to get approval through OHB. Now, to remind you how to get to the life event tool, you will want to go to your job aid. So let me switch back over to that screen for you. And let's go into Cardinal Learning. And under the Learning heading, you will go to Job Aid. And you can type benefits, or you can type BN 361, which is the course title. And or you can go to the module and scroll down to benefits if you so desire, and simply click filter. Now, on some of your laptops, you will not be able to click that filter button. You will have to hit enter. For some of you all, enter does not work for you, and you will have to click filter. So just know that there are two options, either enter or filter, to populate the life event tool. The life event tool is actually housed on page 2 of the benefit job aids. And once it opens, it populates into an Excel spreadsheet. Now, there are instructions, in which I will not take the time in this particular forum, of how to use the tool. If you've not used it yet, there are common definitions for you that show you the tool field definitions, the event class definitions, the administrative event class definitions, and date rules that are all there for your perusal. But when going into the life event tool itself, you will click on that tab, populate the information here. So again, if the child, for instance, was born on August 10th, 2022, you received that enrollment on, let's say, September 15th, 2022. You'll notice that it automatically populates your BAS activity event date as well as the coverage date. All right. Hopefully you like that tool. I find that everyone seems to be quite ecstatic about it. So hopefully you'll find that to be very beneficial for you. And now we're going to go or journey to our next stop, which is creating a manual event. I'll give you a moment to take a look at this screen. As a reminder, when the benefits administration process runs, it removes any other processed events from the table. Ben Admin does run every 2 hours. Also, when an employee submits a life event like a divorce through ESS, the event is systematically created on the BAS activity table instead of manually, with all of the associated fields being populated for you. Also, keep in mind, I'd like to share a little bit of information with you about COBRA and the COBRA action field. Now, when you're looking at the navigation for creating a manual event, benefit events are created in the BAS activity page and maintained on the on-demand event maintenance page. You navigate there by clicking the benefit administrator tile, benefits management, and review the BAS activity table. Now, in this screenshot, you see that some of the boxes are highlighted in red. You would enter the employee after clicking the plus sign first. You would need to enter the employee's ID number, the date of the event, and the event type. You can click on the magnifying glass in this area if you're unsure of the three-letter acronym for that particular event. But you'll also notice a fourth box here, and this is for COBRA information. Now, when we populate the COBRA action field, when the event initiates COBRA coverage, but not when COBRA rights are initiated. So for instance, in the case of a marriage event, we would not populate this field, okay, even though it initiates COBRA rights. However, in the case of a divorce event, we do populate the COBRA action field as the divorce initiates COBRA coverage for the spouse. If at any point you as a benefit administrator forget to enter this COBRA field, the OHB COBRA unit can add that entry to the COBRA trigger. So again, if at any point you inadvertently forget to enter that COBRA information, the OHB COBRA unit can add an entry to that COBRA trigger for you. Additionally, agency BAs can identify when they forget to enter the COBRA event by accessing their COBRA status report or their COBRA review summary page. All important information. All right, so once we've gone to the navigation of the benefits tile, benefit management, and the BAS activity table. We will click the plus sign, enter the employee's ID, the event date, the event type, and the COBRA action if warranted. After that, we will revert back to the on-demand event maintenance page, enter the employee ID, click on Show Activities, and Schedule and Prepare in the on-demand event maintenance screen. Now, I will model that for you in just a moment. But this is a resource that I think you're going to find very valuable. And what it does is it shows you the BAS action, a description, whether or not this particular event can be conducted in ESS or not, how it's created, whether it's a manual event by a BA, or if it's something that can be done through ESS online, and then also whether or not COBRA action is warranted for that particular event. Again, this information will be in your copy of this presentation on today. This is page 2 of those manual events as well. So let's jump right into creating a manual event. I'm going to get back into the Cardinal system. I'm going to go back to the home page and create the manual event. Again, we begin by entering or accessing the Benefit Administrator tile. And this time we're going to go to the Benefits Management menu and scroll down to Review BAS Activity. Now, one thing that has always been important is to make sure if you have to, okay, and you have 2 scroll down bars on your laptop, make sure that you scroll down to the very bottom on each one of these scroll bars. Very important information. 9 times out of 10, you probably won't have to do that because Ben Admin runs every 2 hours. So you're definitely not going to see all of the events that you're seeing on my screen at this time. However, if you do have the option to scroll down on both scroll bars, please scroll down on both of them to the very bottom. You will click your plus sign to add the event. And I'm just going to enter the employee ID number. We are going to enter the event date. Bear with me 1 second. Get an event date. Also know that you can enter this information and or use your calendar. And if you are using the calendar, and I like to just enter the date, make sure that you're entering the month, the year, and then the date last. Okay. When it comes to the functionality of using the calendar. We're going to enter a marriage event, and I can simply type MAR here and or use the magnifying glass and scroll down to the marriage event. And again, COBRA is not warranted at this time, so I'm simply going to click my Save button. You'll notice that it was saving the page, but you have to look very quickly, okay? It's like that caution light. Now we're going to go to the on-demand event maintenance page. You will find in Cardinal that it typically will save or retain the employee ID number that you enter. So you do want to be careful to ensure that you're entering the correct employee ID number. We're going to click Search. And once we click Search, we want to come over and see that we're going to show activities. First of all, we see that we have a marriage event under the Action button. I also have only one pending activity, which is the marriage event that I've just entered. So I'm going to click Show Activities, and I see that I just entered the marriage event. It was a manual event that I entered. You do want to ensure that the check mark is in blue and checked there, and simply click OK. Now, once I've shown the activities, I want to schedule and prepare this event. And once you click the Schedule and Prepare Event button, you're going to notice that behind the scenes, all of the rules, eligibility, regulations, policies, and procedures are running in the background. All you have to do is click OK. Now, once you click OK, you're ready to go in and enter your election options. Now, in this particular case with my employee is single presently, okay? So I'm going to want to change this to my employee now being married. You'll know that under your coverage codes, A1 is for single, 2 is for employee and spouse, 3 is for employee and child, and 4 is for family coverage. We're going to change this to a coverage type 2 for employee and spouse. Now, once I do that, I like to go to the Dependents tab next. And what I want to do is, anytime you're in the Dependents tab, you want to click your Change Add Dependent Data to add that particular dependent. Whether you're adding, removing, you do have to change the Change Add Dependent Data link. I'm going to enter the new spouse's name. And let's just say, for the sake of, we'll just say Mel. Keep it simple. Mel Smith. You can click the refresh button if you like, just to ensure you've entered that name correctly, but click OK. And this information is listed in your job aids. If you had to add any additional dependents, you could certainly do that here. And if you needed to remove any dependents, you could do that as well. Now I'm going to go to the Address tab and enter the address of that new spouse. If the address is the same as the employee, you would click the same as employee address button. And or if, in this age of technology in which we live now, sometimes the spouse is not at the same address. Maybe they live in Roanoke and you live in Richmond. Okay. So that option is there for you to edit the address. But in this scenario, we're going to assume that the spouse lives at the same address as the employee. That information will populate. If you needed to enter the phone information, email information, these are the fields where you would enter that. We're now going to go to the personal profile screen or tab. We want to enter the date of birth of the spouse. If it is within your company policy to add the country, the birth location, the state, etc., please do so. We're going to move down to the personal history screen and enter the relationship to the employee. This information is in alphabetical order, and this is the spouse, so we're going to enter the spouse there. It will automatically default to an unapproved dependent under the dependent beneficiary type. So unless you have all of the supporting documentation, you would leave that unapproved. Now we're going to pretend in this scenario that we have received a copy of the marriage certificate, so we're going to change this to an approved dependent. You do have to enter the gender and the marital status. It will automatically populate the date of the event for you. And you do also want to enter the Social Security number if you have it. If you do not have the Social Security number of the spouse, please leave it blank. I believe in the past you all were entering 9s there. Okay. So please leave that field blank. At this juncture, I'm going to just enter a Social Security number here, assuming that we do have it, and I'm going to click OK. And now I'm going to go to my option election tab and enter the elections for this employee. Now I've already entered a 2 for employee and spouse, but I do have to click the Enroll All button to ensure that I am enrolling that spouse, and you'll see that under the Dependent tab, that name has populated. You would also want to add, if need be, the option code for the flexible spending medical, and if they want to have an annual pledge amount. I'm just going to enter a different amount there because this employee is married now, and so he or she keeps peace in their home. We're going to increase that amount. Not going to talk so much about the contribution worksheet. This has been removed from the production environment now, so I'm going to move past that. The flexible spending dependent care, we want to enter a 1 there, and the flexible spending admin fee. Let's assume we're entering a 1 there, and we simply click OK. All right, it says an annual pledge is required for plan type 61. So the thing I like about Cardinal is it won't let you really make mistakes. Okay. It will give you a warning message if there is an error, okay, or if there is a warning or something that needs to be brought to your attention. Make sure that you're reading that warning. Okay. Now, it will also, and I don't want to get into so much that side of the training today, but it will also, if you have errors, it will let you know what those errors are. Okay. Now that I've entered all of the elections, and if you don't look real quickly, maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't, but it said saving the page in green across under the Benefits Administrator tab. Now that we've entered all of the elections, the last thing that you have to do is validate and finalize this enrollment. Okay, so let's recap. We went into the BAS activity table and we entered the manual event. After that, we came over to the on-demand event maintenance screen. We clicked on show the activity. Show me the event that I'm getting ready to process. And then we clicked on schedule and prepare it. Well, now that I've seen the activity, let me prepare it in the background when all of the rules, regulations, eligibility, and things are going on in the background. After we scheduled and prepared it, it actually changed to a prepared status there. After we scheduled and prepared it, we went into the election entry button and we entered the elections for the enrollment. And we know that we entered them because it's showing a status of entered, and it's also an event status of open for processing. So this hasn't closed yet. In the life cycle, the next step we have to do is validate this enrollment. And once we validate it, via an interface, it is then sent to the vendor. So once I click validate, you're going to see the status change from entered to finalize enrolled, and you're going to see the event status populate as closed for processing. So we're going to validate it. The process is complete. It's showing a status was finalized enrolled. The event status is closed for processing, and it is in flight to the vendor at this time. All right, and that is your demo of the marriage event. I hope you enjoyed that, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to slate this time now for questions and answers for you to make sure that we try to stay on time for the flight today. After which, I'm going to now turn it over to my flight attendants, Jill and Sarah, for any questions.
All right, so a lot of folks asking us questions regarding retirement plans. How do you view retirement? How does the retirement elections get into the systems for a new hire? So just a brief explanation of that. We actually have an interface that comes in from VRS, and that comes in twice monthly. And that gives us the new hire elections. That also will give us elections for employees who have had job changes that would impact their retirement. For example, if someone went from a VCU security officer to a state police officer, that would mean there would be a retirement change, and that would come through, and their new election would be in Cardinal that way. So we are not asking that agency BAs enter the retirement information for new hires. Now, we do understand there are some circumstances where you might need to add that ELIGE-config 1, which is where the retirement plan code goes. You might need to add that in, and what we ask is that if you are doing that, that you first check the BNAV system to make sure you're entering the correct code, and you validate that and have a screenshot of the BNAV code. A second question around that was, can I see deferred compensation enrollments in Cardinal? And the answer to that is yes. You can do that. You can do that on what's called the base benefit pages, and we went over those today, so that will be in your training material. However, you can see someone's enrollment, not only their current enrollment, but you'll eventually, after they've been in Cardinal a while, you'll be able to see the historical enrollment for those plans as well. Sarah, do you think any other questions that have come in?
Yeah, Jill, I think, we received a question about how do benefit administrators get notified when activity is happening. So there are two ways this will happen. If an employee goes into self-service and they change a dependent, the benefits administrator, that contact listed for your agency, will get an email notification that there's been benefit dependent activity. So you'll know that a new dependent is out there or a dependent has been changed and that you'll need to follow through and obtain paperwork so you can update those dependents to be approved dependents. You also have access to a benefit status report that you can run, and that's in the training materials as well, that you can run to see sort of the status of the different admin events that are out there, whether the employee generated those events or if you generated those events.
And Sarah, can you tell people on the phone, how does that benefits administrator get selected from the agency?
So there's a benefit administrator contact page in the system that they have access to that, right? So the navigation on that is benefits, employer information, and then VA contacts. And then you'll see listed on there the different contacts for your agency. It's that first one, the benefits administrator contact, who's going to get the email notification.
And my understanding is that some agencies might put a group mailbox or distribution list in there so it can go to multiple people versus one person, and that there is a job aid out on the website for that if they have any questions.
That's absolutely correct, especially at the larger agencies. It's a little more efficient to send things to a group mailbox that everybody can work instead of just one person getting inundated with all the dependent changes.
One other question that came in is from an agency. They were questioning if all dependents that are added to the system are automatically enrolled in health. So in Cardinal, an employee can go into self-service and add dependents. That doesn't necessarily mean that those dependents are added to the health plan. To add dependents to a health plan, the employee would need to do a life event and attach those dependents to that life event. So if you see a notification that an employee has added a dependent in the system, you would need to investigate that, see if they're actually added to health. And if they're not added to health, there's really nothing you need to do. And on a side note, really in Cardinal, there's no need for employees to add all of their dependents in. The only dependents that really should be added in Cardinal are dependents that are health dependents on the health plan.
Great. Jill, can you talk about removing a premium reward when an employee terminates?
Okay, so when an employee terminates, there's a termination event behind the scenes, and that should remove the premium reward automatically. Nothing that you need to do to intervene here.
The question is, would we enter a BAS activity for retirement? We're an interfacing agency and unsure of how to kick this off.
So, and that's, I assume, a VRS retirement. So you would not do a life event or a manual event for a retirement. You would let the job date, the job transaction take care of that for you. So from an agency, you're going to do a retirement service retirement, action reason, or you're going to have the HR person do a retirement ORP retirement, and that transaction itself will automatically terminate the employee's active coverage. And then if it's a VRS retiree, they're going to set up the new record in the system, and they are going to handle the enrollment going forward after 11/1. Any 11/1 retirements, that's going to be handled by VRS. So let me state that again, because that's a change. So today, or prior to Cardinal, agency BAs were actually enrolling the retirees in their health care. Going forward, that is not the case. Retirees are going to either log in through self-service and enroll themselves, or VRS is going to do the enrollment. Okay. Now, you might have questions about retirees that may be retired on 9/1 or 10/1. If you're holding enrollment forms for retirees that enrolled 9/1 or 10/1, you need to send those enrollment forms to OHB, who will key them for you. And just another quick note, just to blatantly advertise our forums, we do have an upcoming forum next week on ORP retirees, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm going to be presenting that one, and I'm going to be really upset if my attendance is not higher than Mel's attendance. So see if you guys can do that for me. We have a little bragging rights here in the office, but let people know that that we have an ORP retiree NVRS next week on Thursday.
Guess what, Jill? It'll be higher because we invited the release 1 and release 2.
They caught on to my secret.
So we have a question about what reports and queries are the most helpful. So the deck that you all received from this presentation will include that as a slide, sort of our top hits on reports and queries that you can run. The question is, would you see ESS benefit change requests in BAS activity, or will this require a manual event to be entered? No, if the employee goes out to self-service and creates their own life event, then admin runs automatically behind the scenes, taking that trigger and creating an event right away. So you won't need to do anything to get the employee able to make their data entry. They can start the process, do their data entry, and submit the event all without your assistance. There's a question about a pending transaction with an error, but I'm not sure what type of transaction or what type of error. If you'd like to add more details, we can get back to you. We have a question about, are only life events in open enrollment keyed by employees in employee self-service? Employees in self-service can also key their new hire elections there. The recording from the session will be sent out by the team afterwards, so you'll get that in a communication. The question about the VRS retiree healthcare election, that'll be covered in detail at next week's forum. So Pam, if you're processing BenAdmin and an error pops up on the screen, that would be a great point to send a ticket into BCC, and Benefits Production Support will reach out to you and walk you through that. The deferred comp question about the employee wants to sign up for more than the mandatory 5%. Yes, that will flow in as well. Do we have to approve employee self-service changes through on-demand? You don't have to approve the change. You just have to approve the dependent once you've received the proper documentation on that dependent. So an employee can go out to self-service. They can key their new hire elections and submit those. They can go out to self-service and initiate a birth or a marriage or another life event. They can make those elections on their own. The system will only allow them to make choices that they are eligible to make. What's left for the BA to do is to run the, to work either the emails about a dependent change or to run the unapproved dependent report, and then make sure you reach out to the employees, get those documents that you need to be able to approve a dependent, and then change their status. The benefit training will walk you through in details on how to re-access those events to change the dependent status from unapproved to approved. Until the dependent is an approved status in Cardinal, they will not be sent to the vendor, but payroll deductions will begin. So it's important to work those unapproved dependent reports. Do all leave of absences and job data changes create a BAS manual event that we will have to review and close? So they will all create automatic events on the BAS activity table, but those get processed by Cardinal processing. So nightly processing will turn them in from triggers into events. And then there's processes that run behind the scenes to sort of close those out. The only events you have to worry about are the ones where employee elections are being entered and made. I have a new employee who hasn't provided info for proof of beneficiary since their hire. Should I add her and the dependent for coverage and approve later? So beneficiaries don't get added into Cardinal. We only track dependents in Cardinal. I think, you know, if you have a form with the election, you can go ahead and enter that, but you cannot approve the dependent until you have that paperwork. And so know that as soon as you enter that coverage and that dependent, the employee, if you're a payroll agency, will start getting charged for the higher amount of coverage, but nothing will be sent to the vendor until that status changes. Yeah, so if you have a form from the employee adding that dependent, they can be added, but you can't change the status until you have the paperwork.
Okay, so one question regarding what they call the non-new hire. So those are basically hires that aren't really brand new, right? They're a rehire to your agency. So just like a new hire, when you rehire a employee that was there previously, an event will be created, a rehire event, and that works just like the hire. So the new, well, not so new, the not so new employee will be able to go out into self-service and enroll in their own benefits, or you can process their benefit form using that rehire event.
Another plug for forums, we do have a scheduled HR administrator forum on Thursday of this week.
So some of the questions, kind of tying over to HR, we will have that forum later this week.
One quick question regarding retiree and when they can enroll. Retirees, VRS in particular retirees, VRS is able to add them to the system early. So that is going to allow your retirees to be able to enroll in that coverage before their actual retirement date. So it's in place and there's no break in service. So again, that's going to be covered during the ORP retiree forum next week, but just wanted to answer that question that came in.
So we've got a few extra questions in the chat, but some of them are pretty specific. So we will reach out to you and respond to your questions after we wrap up here.
All right. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Sarah, Maggie, Jolene, and all of you all. How about our flight attendants? They have really strived to give you an excellent customer experience today. Moving right along, as has been forestated, there are some additional upcoming forums on this week and next week. And in addition to that, training materials. We do have some job aids that we feel are going to be most beneficial to you when it comes to the topics at hand for this forum today. There's the Benefit Life Event Tool, which I modeled for you today in Excel, the Benefit Event Status Report, completing a manual event, and also how to create a life event. And then keep in mind there are a plethora of supporting job aids out there for you on the Cardinal Learning site. In addition to that, and you do see the link www.cardinalprojectvirginia.gov, okay, and I know that you all know where that is. There are some additional reports and queries. I'll give you a moment to take a look at these. You have your Benefit Event Status Report, better known as your RBN 300. You see the path for each and every one of these. Your Benefit Eligibility Audit Report. Definitely want to be running that on a daily basis. Navigation to that, your Benefit Enrollment Changes Report, Cardinal Enrollment Report, your Health Census Query, your Employee Benefit Data Query. All excellent reports and queries can be found on the Cardinal Learning site under Resources, under the Resources tab, okay? And then scroll down to HCM catalog. Some additional support. Keep in mind that you have agency support. Follow your agency guidelines on utilizing agency-centered resources to resolve your issues and questions. Agency contacts are equipped to address agency-specific details, including your agency system usage, your agency-specific health benefits and policies. You have user labs. Oh, wow, we're just excited about that. We have in-person user labs for all HCM functional areas. They're offered here on the Cardinal Project at Paragon Place to assist core users with transactions and questions. You have the VCC Help Desk. Very important. They're always there to support you. If core users can't attend in-person user labs but need additional support, enter a Cardinal Help Desk ticket and request assistance and provide details on your functional area. Include the word, please, Cardinal, in the subject line. VCCC@vita.virginia.gov. And then finally, your policy questions. Please reach out to OHB. OHB@dhrm.virginia.gov for any policy-related questions. So now, ladies and gentlemen, as always, we appreciate you. We appreciate what you do. Thank you for flying on Cardinal today. This wraps up our forum for today. Again, thank you for flying with us. Have an enjoyable rest of your day. This is Captain Mel signing off. We have been clear for landing. Thank you. Please to board safely.